Today on the Nerdy Gritty, should physical items be considered in the growing number of loot box bans?
One more world disappears inside it. Just another hopeless addict. World that makes a man instead. If the drums don't get you, the guitars will.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Nerdy Gritty, where we delve deep in the details of pop culture. I am Dez, and for $5.99, you might randomly pull. I'm introducing you now.
Oh, the Wolverine skin version of Fox.
There you go.
You might, though.
Maybe.
There's a 1 in 400
chances are you're just going to pull
chance.
normal Fox.
Yeah, normal Fox.
So you better keep buying them.
Or like Holiday Fox, and he has a hat on or something.
Yeah. I already want to start talking about
Yeah. No, this is something, like, we've talked about loot boxes, but this is I'm looking forward to it, because there's been progress in the loot box legislation realm since we've last talked about this.
There's so much nuance in this.
There really is, 100%. But before we do that,
yeah, you know what there isn't nuance in?
the
religion. It's
nope.
real
Zack
obvious
Snyder's
and
writing.
simple. Well, that's about.
I'm gonna take a shot at Zack Snyder because he set me up. Not him, his writing.
Religion. No religion is nuanced or different or
no. They're all the same.
Totally...
They're all They're all the same and all terrible and evil.
No, the Pope has crossed over into our realm of nerddom.
Ooh.
Yes. This would be June 23rd. Spider-Man paid a visit to the Vatican and gifted the Pope his own special mask.
Oh, that sentence attacked me. What? Spider-Man went to the... Wait, okay. What?
I want you to
Are we
try
talking
to figure
Tom
out
Holland?
to me.
Are we talking, like... What Spider-Man? Is this
Fox is really
some
struggling,
guy?
guys. Right now, I need to complete this or Fox will have a lot of struggles.
What is going on?
If I just choose to move on from this point, Fox will not
Is
be
this
okay.
in the comics? Did I miss this somehow? That this happened in Amazing Spider-Man? Because it's King's Ransom right now. He's not got time for Pope.
Mattia Viardita, an Italian actor, like a performer,
Okay.
who dresses up as Spider-Man and goes to children's hospitals as
okay.
Spider-Man.
All right, thank you.
He was at a hospital in Vatican City,
Okay.
a children's hospital in Vatican City, and it happened to be one of the days that the Pope also visited that place, and so they crossed paths, and he was allowed to, because this is not, okay, I say they crossed paths. You cannot.
You don't just randomly walk by the Pope.
So this was, of course, all pre-planned. And whatnot.
Yes, yeah.
But Spider-Man
Not
was
Nelson
able
Mandela.
to give the Pope his mask. So here's what I want to discuss for a little while. Ready? Ready?
Spider Pope's a great comic idea.
Exactly that.
Okay.
Team ups. What happens? Spider-Man and the Pope, and then we'll move on to other.
Well, I don't want to get
subjects.
too dark on the first outing, but it's the Catholic Church, and so I feel like there are very specific villains within the organization.
That would be the great way to paint that, though. Like,
Sure.
the Pope has turned his eye on his own church, and his goal is to weed out the sexual harassment
our
and
internal
the abuse.
investigation,
Yeah.
internal
And
affairs.
He needs Spider-Man.
He needs Spider-Man to do that.
No, that one would be Batman. He needs Batman's help.
That
for
dark
that.
storyline's for Batman.
Absolutely,
for sure.
that's the noir detective. Him trying to
Dang,
really
can you
get
imagine
in there.
how that storyline would set the world on fire? Like if it was legitimately like Batman for 6 issues is going after pedophile priests. Like I'm sure it has happened on occasion. But
I have a novel that is Batman going after sex trafficking.
Sure,
and,
but that's much
like
more
that,
generic.
Yes,
Than priests, like Catholic
specifically
priests. Yes.
Yeah, man. Can you imagine if the Pope, like if the Catholic Church sponsored that? Like, yeah, we're cool with it. Go for it.
That would be the cool liberal Pope I want to
Heck
see.
yes, man.
He's not really that liberal in real life, just compared to his predecessors.
No, Spider-Man Pope crossover ready.
Okay, let's see it. Let's hear it.
Mephisto is up to
Okay.
his tricks again,
Sure,
right?
sure.
And they actually have to descend into hell. But first, Spider-Man
Classic.
goes to the Pope or whatever. They cross paths, and the Pope's like, "Well, over up here, I'm a frail 86-year-old man, but down there," and he's like this warrior, like
Battle Pope.
Exactly, Battle Pope with his a bulletproof glass car that he drives around the Pope mobile.
That's his,
And he
Spider-Man has the
skids.
Spidey Jeep or whatever.
Yes,
And
and Pope skids into hell in the Pope Mobile, leaps out with a flaming sword
This has to
of
be
Michael the
happening in a
Archangel.
Deadpool comic for it to actually happen, though. Like, that's too much even for Spider-Man.
Hey, you and I, we watched all the Marvel TV shows. We talked about Loki last week, was it?
Yeah, it was last week.
Talked about Loki last week. A realization has been made about the finales of WandaVision and Loki.
Okay.
You see this?
No,
If you start
did not see this.
both shows of both finales at the exact same time, the WandaVision finale and the Loki finale, if you start them at the exact same second,
Okay.
the moment that Wanda becomes the true Scarlet Witch, all that red energy flows into her and her first costume
she
is
has
revealed,
the costume.
is the exact same moment, I believe it's 27 minutes and 55 seconds, that He Who Remains says, "We have passed a threshold," or "We just crossed a threshold."
Wow.
At
That's
that
pretty
exact
cool.
moment. And then they start, for whatever reason, He Who Remains, no reason in the show alone, picks something up and drops it onto his desk and is like, "Poof."
Because he doesn't know what's going to happen.
At that exact same moment, Agatha falls out, like just dropped from the sky, and the thing that hits the desk and Agatha hit the ground at the exact same second.
Wow.
There's a side-by-side video
All right.
that you can watch
Dang,
online.
that's pretty cool.
And
I want to be like, oh, whatever, but also that's pretty cool.
well, for me,
I like it. Dang it.
immediately, that was one of my like biggest complaints. You guys heard last week of this whole "we just crossed the threshold" thing of why. What made this moment difference? Like you've just decided now it's different because it is. If you now tell me, okay, he was on the science side of things, the magical side of things. Sorry, I just whacked my mic.
Sure.
The magical side of things just went nuts because the true Scarlet Witch was born, and that threw off all the science side of things. And now he doesn't know what's going on from that point forward. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, sure.
That works.
Makes
It's still
comic book
it's still
sense.
head.
It makes enough comic book sense to
Yeah,
me.
it's still headcanon.
But yeah, that's pretty cool. It clearly shows they've got some planning going on.
Yeah.
Like, I like that.
It hasn't been
appreciate that.
confirmed.
Sure.
but-
But there could be a line in, Doctor Strange where it's like, when you did this, it changed things.
Right.
That,
right.
and it just, whatever, it confirms it or whatever.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
That is really cool. I should bring mine up first because yours is going to branch off of mine, right?
Sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
So another article here on a much less cool thing. I got an IGN article. Activision Blizzard sued by California over allegations of, quote, frat boy culture
Yeah.
and sexual harassment.
Yeah, this is a big deal.
So there's been an ongoing investigation by the state of California into California's Activision Blizzard site, and they have now sued Activision Blizzard for their sexual harassment. The accusations are, number one, really specific.
Yeah.
Things like saying there are guys that will sit around and joke about rape and women's bodies while their women are sitting right there, and things like there are men that will drink during work hours and delegate their work to the women in the area.
Wow.
And so really, really specific things. But on the flip side, Blizzard came out with a statement, and I'm paraphrasing here. You can read the article again. It's an IGN article with the title that I just read. But both statements are very long, so I'm not going to read them. But Blizzard released a statement saying, actually, we have been concerned this entire time over the whole investigation because we have brought up concerns of negligence, that they're not doing their due diligence in this investigation. It has been more than once that we have emailed, we have the emails, we have all
they've
the
got
stuff.
the receipts.
Yeah, saying, hey, we don't think your person is doing a good job. And now this comes out and we think it's unfair and false. Like they are outright saying, we think this is untrue.
Sure.
And so there's just this really weird section where obviously it's going to happen in court where all this is going to play out. But who's like, what's true here?
It seems the difference in this, because there have been allegations of like sexual harassment and like hostile work environments in several Ubisoft, Devolver Digital, I think. Several, that one might be incorrect, but several like fairly large game companies recently. This one seems a little different because it's specific court documents. It's not somebody from within the company. It's an investigation being done by the state of California. And also, Activision Blizzard's response is not just we disagree, or no, that we deny all allegations. It's, hey, we've been doing this the whole, like, we are in for this investigation. We don't think it has been done well enough. Like, we stand by employees or whatever, but like, it's a little more specific, which gives them a little more credibility in my eyes. A lot of times it's just the standard, we disagree or whatever. So, but what's also really cool is that
real quick.
Oh, sure. Go ahead. Yeah.
I just realized there's an update as of today.
Okay.
And the Blizzard president, J. Allen Brack, emailed the entire staff saying that if there is any stuff like this going on, that it is, quote, completely unacceptable. And he wants to discuss with any employees on how they can move forward. So his way of saying, look, if any part of this is true, I don't think it is, but if any of it is true, I want to know about it.
Sure.
Yeah. So
yeah,
interesting. We'll see where this goes. Well, what have you been up to, Fox?
Well, of course, I've seen some movies, and let's just get it out.
Space Jam 2?
Let's just get it out of the way.
I knew you would.
I did it for the meme.
I knew for a fact you would. It has been on HBO Max, and I have not watched it.
It's been on HBO Max, and I was like, I have stopped watching movies at home. Like, I've got other stuff that I do at home, so it's like sitting there and just spending a couple hours watching a movie, unless I'm like watching it with my wife or something, is not something I've been doing lately. So I was like, I'm just gonna go watch it in the theater. It basically is the same price for me. I've paid subscriptions to both. It was bad.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously, I'm not here to like
gasp.
It was not good. Like, it was. I would say. It was more dumb than the first one, and obviously there's going to be some like nostalgia here because I remember watching Space Jam a bunch and liking it, but it definitely tried to explain things more, or just had the worst
choice.
Space Jam 1 was literally they go to Toon World, like there's a basketball game and they kidnap Michael Jordan and take him to Toon World, and this one was like it's okay. I'll tell you the literal plot: a sentient algorithm.
Don Cheadle.
Don Cheadle is upset that he's not getting recognition for the ideas he comes up with. This is a computer program.
Okay.
And so including he comes up with an idea for LeBron James to be a movie star, basically, and LeBron James says that's a bad idea. And and then Don Cheadle's upset, and so he's I'm going to kidnap not Michael Jordan. I'm going to kidnap LeBron James's son, forcing not Michael Jordan, LeBron James to also, they're all digitized.
Right.
It's not just go to fantasy world. It's like you're a digital person now. And then I'm going to make you play a game of basketball against me. And if you lose, then I'm going to force you to stay in the serververse the whole time.
Serververse?
It's called the serververse.
Not the servers?
No, it's bad. And
come on.
And so it's represented. It looks like they go inside the computers at Warner Brothers. Half of this movie is an advertisement for Warner Brothers properties.
The trailer very much.
100%.
Yes.
And okay, whatever. It's dumb. I'll tell you the two worst parts about it. Or no. I'll tell you the worst part and then the one moment I actually laughed.
Okay.
I'm going to spoil that for you. There's one moment that I thought was actually very funny. The worst part was that half of the audience of the basketball game in the digital world are people that were sucked into their phones because they were going to watch this game on a streaming whatever, but then they got digitally transformed and put into the thing, and they're also trapped. The other half is characters from other Warner Brothers properties in the background at all times during this entire basketball.
Exclusively Warner Brothers properties, of course.
Exclusively Warner Brothers properties. So when you see reaction shots or dialogue from Don Cheadle, who's playing as the coach of one of the teams, the bad team, the Goon Squad, in the background, you see I'm not kidding. You see Agent Smith from The Matrix and some of the War Boys from Fury Road and Penguin from Batman Returns. And just rando people from Warner Brothers properties literally just cheering or just providing reactions. The worst part about that worst part is they're not digital versions, recreations, and they're obviously not played by the same people who played them in the movies. They are what look like Times Square knockoffs. They all look like the wrong it's store brand Danny DeVito playing the Penguin, and they all just there's like an uncanny valley to these actual people playing these characters because they don't look right at all, and it's just takes your focus off of everything else happening.
I rewatched or watched Jonah Hex. Here's the thing.
You've talked about it before on this podcast.
So very clearly it was when I was in my very drugged time.
I think that's the case.
Yeah.
Yes.
I literally, my wife and I watched it last night, and I'm like, I've never seen this movie. Let's watch it. And we got about halfway through it, and then I'm like, parts of this seem familiar.
Wait a minute.
Like a little bits of this, and I got to the end of the movie, and I would say 98% of it was new to my brain. 2% of it was vaguely familiar, and enough for me to sit here right now and be like, did I watch this in in the drug time, the opioid time?
Yeah, in your drug days.
Back when I was, to be clear,
after back surgery,
yeah,
yes.
or waiting for back surgery, one or the other, because the American healthcare system is ridiculous,
problems, yes.
and I had to sit for 3 months waiting for surgery
Yes.
in excruciating, ridiculous pain.
Anyway,
Here's what I will say about the Jonah Hex film.
here it comes.
Are you ready?
Not as bad as it could be.
I liked watching it.
There it is.
I
yeah.
liked it, man. I liked it because you know what? Here's what I think needs to happen with reviews, and I'm going to say the same because I'm going to move from Jonah Hex to Gunpowder Milkshake.
Okay.
Did you watch Gunpowder
I
Milkshake
haven't
yet?
watched it
Okay,
yet.
I won't spoil anything
All
yet.
right.
I watched both of them. I think that number one, reviewers need to first state what I expected and then give their review after that. Because Jonah Hex begins with him riding into a town trying to collect a bounty, and all the guys are like, instead, we're collecting you for a bounty. And then he pulls a blanket off his horse, and it's 2 Gatling guns on either side of his horse.
Classic.
And he unloads it on these guys.
Sure.
And at that very moment, I knew not to expect a classic 310 to Yuma,
Yeah,
true grit Western.
Not a real
like,
Western.
I'm not sitting here thinking to myself, I'm looking for a quality film here.
Sure.
I'm looking for a film in which there are 2 Gatling guns mounted on a horse. And when you approach a film that way, it allows you to have I feel the same way to me, this was Old West Van Helsing. It was exactly what it was.
Okay.
In the same way, it was just like, man, you're not looking for high art here.
Here's the problem
you're
with that.
Fun.
Here's the problem with that kind of, because you can say that about a lot of movies. I'll bring up Fury Road again.
Right.
If I was watching Fury Road and then I could say the statement, and then I saw a guitar playing guy on a truck with giant speakers shooting fire out, and then I knew not to expect anything from the movie. When in reality, that movie is insanely good in every single way, including a genuinely emotional and like engaging character storyline.
Are you telling me that's not part of why it was so good? Because people saw the original Mad Max films, approach Fury Road thinking to themselves, here comes another Mad Max film. Then they saw this like, holy crap, this is quality cinema.
No, what I'm saying is that something ridiculous like, oh, he's got Gatling guns on his horse. That's crazy. This movie isn't going to be very good. Shouldn't lead you to, those statements shouldn't necessarily be, you can have ridiculous things in your movie that are goofy and shouldn't be taken seriously, and also have a very seriously taken storyline and characters that you care about.
Yes, I agree with that. First of all, this is more an establishing scene is what I mean. Your part with the
that comes
the
in
doof,
later.
Is that
sure.
his name?
Yeah, the Doof Warrior.
Yeah, he's way later, but
He comes in later, yes.
it's the establishing scenes of
Sure,
films
and it
are
can
always very
establish a
important.
tone.
Right.
Right.
But
Doesn't mean you should then say, well, nothing about this is going to be very good.
But when you have that established tone and when you have an expectation at the beginning, I think it really helps show what you expect. And if it becomes better than that, great.
Sure.
If it's worse than that, oh no, like that happens too sometimes.
Sure. I went and saw Roadrunner, which is a character in Space Jam
Yeah.
2. That's right, I'm talking about
Wow,
Space Jam
he
2.
he got his own spin-off
Bring it
individual
back.
film.
No.
What is
Roadrunner
Roadrunner's gender?
is a documentary about Anthony Bourdain.
Oh, right.
who is
Oh, I've actually been wanting to see that.
A very famous chef turned travel travel
He was even,
journalist,
if I remember correctly,
traveling-
he was even just a dude that turned chef because he just traveled and liked food. Like
No. In the movie, you kind of learn about
he does begin chef.
He was a chef. Yeah, he started as a line cook, went through the classic like struggle, and then he wrote a book called like Kitchen Confidential, which talked about how crappy the profession of chef or cook is,
Right.
and how terrible it is, and just the secrets that people don't talk about. and that gave him just stardom,
Yeah.
huge stardom, rocket. And because of that, he was given, like, he got the opportunity to basically travel and talk about food, but also just kind of the places he went to. He became more of like a journalist, kind of.
Yeah,
It wasn't
absolutely,
even
yes.
just about food. Like No Reservations is a show he did. Several shows similar to that too.
There's
all very great to watch.
Some
really
of my favorite
interesting.
television on the planet
Yeah.
is, I think it was 2 episodes of No Reservations in which he went to a Middle Eastern country to try some of their food
yeah.
and ended up getting stuck there because there was
A war started
A
while
war
he was
began.
there. I forget exactly. They talked about it in the movie. The movie
bonkers.
itself, yes, it's a fairly like straightforward documentary until you get toward the end. Anthony Bourdain, if you don't know, committed suicide a couple years ago in 2019 or 2018, very recently.
Yeah.
And a good documentary is a movie about something using the subject, quote unquote, subject as a vehicle to get there,
Right.
to talk about something bigger, or to talk about whatever. And this movie was about Anthony Bourdain's friends trying to deal and trying to come to terms with the fact that he committed suicide.
My wife and I have been watching Leverage Redemption. It's the reboot of the TV show Leverage.
Yeah.
You know what Leverage is?
Nah.
Imagine if Ocean's 11 was Robin Hoodie.
Ocean Leverage.
Ocean Leverage, nice. If Ocean's 11 was Robin Hoodie, so they rob from the evil rich and give to the needy, and it's a TV show.
Okay.
And that's pretty much Leverage. It's 5 people who are the best at what they do, the best
course.
thief, the best grifter, the best hacker, the best hitter, the best mastermind.
Sure.
And they all have a little bit of experience in everything, but they're all the best of and they're all brought together by this mastermind specifically to provide leverage for those who need it. Like that's the basis of the show.
Gotcha.
And it's 100%. It's Robin Hood. They rob from the evil rich. It's a total reboot of the original show. I will say that I enjoyed the show. It does something that crime procedurals do very well. It does this very well, and that is it makes you, the viewer, feel smart. Because if you can see what's happening, if you can predict what comes next, you're like, ha, yeah.
Okay.
It's the same reason that I enjoy puzzle games.
Sure, that's fun.
Yeah.
If you give me the tools, even if it's obscure, then I like to feel like I can figure it out.
Exactly. I think Bones was the most successful of this in
Really?
television altogether, which is why it was like almost I think it was on a 12
was a
season
long
show.
time,
yeah.
yeah.
But all that to say, this is much more comedic. It's goofy. Everybody in it, it's more akin to Psych, where everybody's kind of dumb.
They switched the tone a little bit,
Yeah.
to make it a little fresh. Something that's not
But
just the same show.
Redemption, 2 of the original cast members aren't there anymore, so they plugged in 2 other people. But other than that, I'm a little disappointed that it's exactly the same show.
Oh, okay.
And I'm watching it because I enjoy it, but I was hoping that they'd do a little bit more with it. Like, I was hoping they'd do more. But if you like Redemption, it is
Sure.
exactly the same
Or
show.
if
and
you
it's a lot
like
of fun.
Leverage.
Yeah, if you like Leverage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I got.
Me too.
All right. Well, then let's get down to the nerdy gritty.
Fine.
Hey, before we do that, we just want to let you guys know that you are currently listening to an edited version of the Nerdy Gritty. Just the first half, though. Everything after this is unedited, normal, exactly as it was recorded. But before this, we cut it down to make it a little bit more palatable for our casual listeners. But if you are hardcores when it comes to
True
the Nerdy
capital
Gritty,
gamers.
yeah, then you need to drink Game Fuel.
Capital
Gamers. If you game the we
Yeah.
could get into some pretty rough...
Capital G gamers.
There you go. But we encourage you to head over to our Patreon. That's patreon.com/DesmondFox and become a patron of ours. At the 2nd tier or higher, you get access to the unedited cut of the Nerdy Gritty. And the price of being a 2nd tier or higher is just a 2nd tier is basically 1 video game a year. It's $5 a month. And and we always appreciate the support. It helps us do all kinds of fun things like the games that we play, the equipment that we use to record this stuff. Like I'm currently speaking into a newer mic that I was able to get. And so just things like that. So we just want to say thank you to all of you who have supported us for a long time. And thank you to you listeners, because if it's not something that you can do, listening and telling other people about it is something that's really important as well. So if you could just go tell a friend about the Nerdy Gritty, we'd really appreciate it. All right, that's it. I'm done doing the talking now. I'm not done. I'm not done doing the talking.
On this part.
On this part. We'll get down to the real Nerdy Gritty now.
loot boxes have been a thing in video games for a good long while.
Oh, a real long while.
And even beyond that, microtransactions before. If you don't know, microtransactions are essentially buying content in a game in a, small amount of money, but things that are for in-game content. And then loot boxes are specifically randomized microtransactions. So, for example, in Fortnite, if you buy a loot box, I don't know if this is the case anymore. They might have gotten rid of the llamas. But, for example, if this were the case, you could buy a loot box in Fortnite that will give you a randomized selection of items that you may or may not have already and may or may not be rare or super rare or common or whatever. It's a random thing that you're buying. You don't know what's going to be in it before you spend the money. Obviously, hopefully, if you've never heard of this, your red flags are going off for you right now.
Right.
We've talked about these before. We've talked about loot box legislation. That's actually the title of an earlier episode of the Nerdy Gritty, loot box legislation. Since then, there has been some progress, I'll say, in a few countries around the world about how loot boxes are being regulated. What we want to talk about today is specifically, well, if that's happening, if there are loot boxes in video games and randomized content that is being considered gambling by some countries, we're going to discuss the idea of extending that definition to real world items, physical items you can buy with actual, physicality to them, and not just in games.
Yeah, and to be clear, we are not creating this idea. Like this
No,
has
obviously
been,
not.
Yeah, this has been a conversation since the beginning of the loot box conversation. What I remember originally is people basically saying, "Hey, wait a second, isn't that what a booster pack is?"
Right. There are some countries. Before we get into this, I want to talk about what I have a list here of actual loot box legislation and kind of a summary of what they've done in a few countries.
All right.
So in Japan, one of the biggest things they've done is essentially there were games that it had a gacha mechanic.
Right.
Which if you ever use like a gumball machine or something, that's essentially a gacha mechanic, a gacha game where you don't know exactly what you're going to get, and it's a randomized reward for your money. There are entire games that are based around this. A lot of mobile games are based around this. Final Fantasy Brave Exvius is a big one like this. Kingdom Hearts Union Cross is a big one like this. In some games in Japan, it wasn't just that you could get items like this. It was that there was actual progress in the game you could not make until you happen to get these items randomly. And so it might take you a lot of money and a lot of time to progress in the game. Not just to be better, but to actually progress in the game. And they were like, nope.
Yes.
They stopped that. There's still a lot of gacha games. There's still a lot of microtransactions. They haven't outlawed everything, but that one specific thing they've done in
to
Japan.
be able to progress in the game.
Right.
Yeah.
It has to be more, I don't know what the term I'm looking for, something more to the side of it than just actual progression. China, let's see. Games with loot boxes in China have to reveal not just the name of all possible rewards, but the probability of receiving them. So at least you have information about what could be in this and how likely it is you'll be getting any one of those, which is a good step, I think. You're at least getting more information as a consumer.
Right.
You still might be wasting your money because you already have everything you got, but you could have known that already.
Well, and there are just certain types of people that would mean nothing to them.
Sure.
If you were to give a percentage points in front of them, they're like, okay, whatever that means. They don't process numbers.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the Netherlands, the gaming authority in the Netherlands conducted a study of 10 unnamed games, concluded that 4 of the games were in violation of Netherlands laws concerning gambling.
Yeah, let's be clear. When they say gaming authority, they don't mean video gaming.
They don't mean video games. They mean
gambling.
Casinos and whatnot.
Yeah.
So to be clear, these are things that happen in video games that violated the law of gambling.
Yes.
And so that right there is like, okay, well, clearly it's illegal.
Right.
So to be exact, they said that the content of these loot boxes is determined by chance, and the prizes to be won. Let's see. The study said that sorry. Oh right, okay. You are unable to sell the items in the game outside of the game. And so therefore a license cannot be granted and therefore it's illegal.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. In order to sell such items, such of these like digital items in the Netherlands, a license is required, but given the current law, no license can be given to game companies. And so, quote, these loot boxes were prohibited.
That makes sense.
And then in Belgium, even more stricter regulations have been given. They declared loot boxes to be a form of illegal gambling. Looking at various games such as FIFA 18 and Overwatch, Belgium determined that the randomized risk-reward system innate to loot boxes is tantamount to gambling, and it had pretty big implications. Obviously,
right?
It was just basically a blanket statement saying this is all gambling and illegal. So anyway, that's what we got right now. That's what's been passed into law. 4 countries, to be clear, of all of them, of all the all the countries, 4, and so that is not. Remember, we want to talk about physical items, but I think that's a really good place to start. This is what's been said about digital things. Can we use that as a basis to judge physical items? Maybe they fall into the same category and therefore probably should be considered in the same realm.
The tough part is, and this was a lot of the argument from the side of the video game corporations, is we are not selling. So let's, again, I'm going to lean on Magic the Gathering a lot because that's where I am most familiar with this. We are not selling you Magic the Gathering cards, or we are, but we're not selling you specific ones.
Sure.
We are selling you the chance for specific ones. Right. We are basically selling you the opportunity to pull specific cards, but not specific cards in general. Now, you will get something, and that was their absolute difference that set them aside from what was actually gambling. Is when you buy a booster pack from Magic, you are purchasing chance, but you also get things.
You will get something.
You get something of value.
In a lot of digital games, if you already have this item, it disappears into nothing. You don't now have 2 of them.
Right. Whereas in gambling, if I purchase a chance to win money in blackjack and then I lose, I exclusively lose.
You lost money.
Yes, I get nothing from that. So this is what's been set apart so much is you are getting something. And honestly and truly, that's where I balk a little bit because immediately I want to say, I guess calling them loot boxes in real life, there's got to be a name for them.
The booster pack.
The booster mindsets is bad. And it's unhealthy. It creates a cycle, not that chemical dependence a little bit of that. The feeling of opening a booster pack is fun and good, and you like that feeling.
Yes.
And so a lot of times people aren't even buying a booster pack anymore. They're buying a feeling. I was guilty of that.
Yes.
Every Tuesday for years,
Same.
I bought 2 booster packs.
I was part of that.
Yeah,
we literally would go get lunch and then walk over to a game shop and buy a pack.
And why? There were no specific cards I was looking for. There's nothing
I would use them if they were good.
If they were good stuff, but it was fun to open booster packs, even though I didn't get anything.
Right.
And so you're selling this feeling, and it's a little underhanded. It's even worse when you consider the fact that this is carried over to toys a lot, geared toward like 5 and 6 year olds.
That's something I actually want to bring up here. I think should be included in this category.
So there's, like one of my daughters for a little bit, and by a little bit, I mean for like a week, really wanted these little puppies, and
they came in boxes.
They were in blind boxes. And the good news is she didn't care if she got 3 of the exact same puppy. That meant nothing to her.
Yeah.
But if she had wanted to collect all 6, and some of them were rarer than the others, and you could get the same one but with different costumes. So if you want all the costumes for that one, and it just becomes this cash dump.
Yeah, 100%.
And it is underhanded, but at the same time, you're purchasing something, and that is where I balk at it. You are not getting nothing. You're still getting something. So I'm asking, help me out here.
Well,
Fox.
Here's what I want to say is, you're getting something. Is that something going to be valuable to you? It is a straight fact that you could go buy a booster of Magic cards right now, even the current sets, the current whatever, and it could still be worth
50 cents.
the problem here is that there's two types of value that we're talking about.
Yes.
There is monetary value, which if you're talking about the official Wizards of the Coast, like it has none. They don't talk about the secondary market. The secondary market has nothing to do with Wizards of the Coast. So when it comes to Wizards of the Coast and buying a pack, it's literally just its value in the game and how good it is. So, and that's something you cannot define. And so the problem is, you could walk into a thing, buy a game shop, buy a booster pack of Magic cards, you get 15 cards. You know for a fact you're going to get at least one rare, and get at least one foil. That foil might also be a rare. You might get a very good pack. And then but at the same time, every one of those cards is only as valuable as you have the opportunity to use it. And then, so it could be absolutely worthless to you. On the monetary side, dipping into the secondary market, it is only as valuable as the market decides. And you can get a perfectly normal booster from current set and it be worth a total of $1. Even though you spent $4 on it, or $5 or $3.50 or whatever it is right now.
You could buy a pack and be worth 25 cents.
It could be 25 cents.
Yeah.
It could also be worth 40 depending on the card you just pulled.
Right.
You got that mythic rare that everybody wants right now or whatever. But there is to say that because it's a physical item and you have it, to me doesn't explain, now it has more value. I guess, yeah, when the apocalypse comes, throw it in the fire. It'll give you some warmth for a few seconds. But what value does it have beyond, it's only as valuable as you have need in the actual game that you're playing.
Yeah. I mean, I think to myself, what if other type of things did this? Like, what if you went to the grocery store and you bought cereal and it was random and you already have chocolate cereal, this one's chocolate,
I'll deal with
it's useless to you now.
Man.
Now you got a ton of chocolate cereal.
I got a blind bag of apples, dang it, they were all rotten. Wasting my money.
And it's this mindset of, because it's I want to say because it's just for fun. What's the word I'm looking for here? Leisure. Because it's
a leisure thing. Yeah.
It's okay. But even then, I guess this is true sometimes, but if you were to want to buy a video game, but you got blind video games, you don't know what you're going to play, that would also suck. You wouldn't want to do that. We've created this little area where it's okay to get this blind chance.
Right.
But just because it's happened, does that mean it's wrong? Does that I guess my question here is, are we legislating morality here?
Well, my stance on that is you don't legislate anything other than morality. You say something is bad, and therefore it shouldn't. There's a penalty for doing it.
Well,
so
there can be measurable badness.
I understand. Yeah. That's a whole other gray area.
That's true.
You're saying it's not. It's basically just somebody's opinion that you're legislating, not necessarily a definable fact.
Yeah, and I would even distinguish between ethics and morals here.
Sure.
We legislate ethics, of course, because it impacts our society.
That's a whole other conversation. Because let's say on that.
Yes, but legislating morality is
it's hard to define. I think at the core of what you're saying is you can't really define whether or not something is valuable like this.
Right.
Because on one hand, you could say, well, this card was very valuable to me. I wanted it for my deck. Therefore, it was valuable. It didn't matter how much it was worth. You could also say that in contrast to digital things, if Epic Games goes under and Fortnite shuts down, all that money you spent on those items in the game are gone forever, and you can't even put on the skin that you bought or whatever. But if Wizards of the Coast goes under, all those Magic cards we have will still be viable, and the game can still be played forever. There is more value in that you can use it without the permission of some other of a company through the disguise of we're still active and making money, so we're gonna support this still. There is a value there. That's really the hard part here, is that how do you define what the value is of something like this? And there is a difference between a digital version and a physical commodity. Because there are people who use Magic cards outside of the game, and people, go on Etsy, you'll find a million things made from Magic cards that they're making money off of.
Yeah.
Does that count toward their value as a product? Maybe. I mean, it does for them. And so, I want to say, I think at the end of the day, if we want to just come down on one side or the other,
right.
I say, I think this should fall in the same category.
As loot boxes?
As loot boxes.
Okay.
I think personally, I think what makes that decision for me is that things like this, things like blind boxes, because you go to a shelf at a grocery store, not grocery store, but like a Target or a Walmart where all the cards are, you'll see all those blind box toys. Also, you can get like loot box subscriptions, loot crate subscriptions, whatever they're called. Yeah, loot crate is one of them, where you don't actually know what you're going to get, but you know, it'll have a certain amount of value, I guess. There's entire stands at like Comic Cons that are nothing but loot boxes in physical form. And I think all of like everything I've just mentioned is marketed in a big way toward children.
So,
and that's a real problem when it comes to the game. The gambling aspect is not that, like when it comes to banning loot boxes in video games, it's not just gambling's bad, it's banned. It's these are things that are in a big way marketed toward children, and
yes,
that's a bad thing.
I agree with that. And I think that's, you know, not just morally, but also ethically bad.
Right.
Like
People, yeah.
trying to monetize children.
Adults are okay to, like, they make the decision to gamble whether or not their brain has developed to a point where they can at least have possibly a little more control over that impulse. Children don't have that opportunity yet, and so therefore this should be included, in my opinion.
So what if we distinguish the difference between, say, a Magic the Gathering booster pack and the little puppy dog toys that my daughter liked? Because I think Magic I think Wizards of the Coast could come to the defense of saying, this is part of our game. Part of our game is the luck of drawing that good card, the chance of you getting, oh, you happen to draw that really, really good card. Awesome, man. You got lucky, and now you have that card to use and to play with. That's part of the game, guys.
Yeah, I can understand that. To be fair, like you could extend that logic to playing a round of Magic.
Yeah.
When you are drawing a card, you can manipulate the odds, but you're still hoping and on the chance of the draw, and that your opponent will have less. Like the whole game is based around chance,
right?
Of that you'll get the right cards and they'll get the not as good cards, and like. So I can understand that. It wouldn't be very satisfying.
No.
It would feel like a snake, like oily way to get it. It's just part of the game now, I guess. And therefore, don't worry about it.
And here's the reason why I want to bring that personally, because in general, I think it's really weird. I think Wizards of the Coast's two major things, Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering, are on two totally separate, like doing good and doing bad, like doing good and doing
very
evil.
Very different types of gaming.
Where D&D, to me, they have taken up this thing of, hey, you can buy the player's handbook and learn the rules and never have to give us money again.
Yeah.
In fact, here are free adventures if you want them. You can do this. You can do here. It's fine, guys. We want you guys to come together, and we want you to enjoy that. Here's all this supplement if you want more.
You got more if you want it. It's cool.
But
you got some good stuff.
Yeah, and I love the way that they've done that. And you know what? People freely give them money still.
Yes.
It's fine. Where on the flip side, Magic the Gathering, they have become so predatory in a lot of the things. In fact, we're talking about the secondary market. If you are careful observers, Wizards of the Coast will, this one card has, gone way up in price. Wizards of the Coast will re-release it.
Oh.
So that you are now no longer just looking to buy it from the shop at the secondary market. You can also pull it, because secondary market, Wizards of the Coast doesn't get any money.
Yeah.
But if you keep buying packs, Wizards,
you might get it.
You might pull it.
Possibly.
And Wizards still gets money there. That they have found so many ways to make you re-buy the same cards over and over again.
Digitally and physically.
Digitally, they have like 5 different digital games.
Yeah.
And you can't transfer over in any way, shape, or form. And it's really, as a fan of Magic the Gathering, a former fan of Magic the Gathering, I have decided to stop playing, actively chose to stop playing because of how predatory it has become. And it's something that I get real frustrated with. But at the end of the day,
you're another day older.
I can't say that they are doing something illegal that I also feel like should be legislated. I'm really struggling with the point in which I can point the finger and say that right there should be illegal. Because if you want to say booster packs should be illegal, I would say, but it's part of the chance of the game. In fact, part of the fun of the game for me was what was called like booster battles, where you'd buy 3 booster packs and you'd try to make the best 50 card deck out of that and land.
Sure.
And you'd
draft.
fight. Yeah. Or a booster draft at that point.
Draft. Sure.
Yeah. Or going together with some friends and buying a booster box and just seeing what you buy. That chance is part of the fun of the game, and it is part of the game itself. That all can be put into it.
But you could say the same thing about pulling the arm on the lever on a what do you call it at a casino slot machine.
But you and I can't sit down, pull the arm 3 times, and no matter what happens, enjoy the product of what came out of those 3 pulls.
Sure. Okay.
You and I could both get nothing out of it and decide, well, now we have nothing. Whereas you and I, no matter what we get, can still have that booster battle.
You can have the booster battle. Is it going to be fun? Are you going to get what you wanted from it? What if you got nothing but cards that are useless? Like, sure, everything can be put in a deck, but is that deck going to be useful at all beyond just this one match?
I mean, to your point, I think 15,000 Magic the Gathering cards.
Yeah.
And I am using probably 2,000 of them.
A very small portion of them. Yeah. The rest are fodder that are worth a cent, if anything.
Yeah.
You can go to a shop and say, here's 12,000 cards, and they'll say, well, I'll give you $20 for everything because it's not worth it to me.
You're paying me to store it.
Yeah, essentially. I'm just a middleman for when it goes into the dumpster eventually.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm just what I'm saying is, at that, like, there is a moment where you bought that pack, and afterwards, sure, it may or may not be valuable. There's a Schrodinger's thing here where is it valuable or not, and beforehand you cannot know if it will be valuable. Both in the sense, monetarily, you're not sure if you'll get your money back, and also, you don't know if the cards you get will be valuable in the game you're playing. Sure, you could play the game, but you might lose in 3 turns because you got crap, and you're not, like, it's not valuable for the game itself. And to me, that beforehand not knowing what you're going to get is the problem. That is in and of itself a gambling mechanism where you will be putting in actual real world currency and be getting out something that may or may not make that money back. Well, and that is predatory in and of itself.
Couldn't you say the same of an arcade, though? I know arcades are almost non-existent anymore, but let's say you go to a Dave & Buster's or whatever, and we get, you and I each put $15 on a card, and we go and we play a game, and we play it for a little while, and we're like, that was dumb. And that was a $2 a play game, and we didn't really have any fun with that.
Sure.
We spent 5 minutes with it and decided it wasn't that much fun. You could say the same with a booster pack. Again, you spent a minute with it, looking through the cards, decided it wasn't really worth it.
No, but the difference there is that, like, you could say that about a Steam game.
Right.
But Steam games have reviews. They have videos. You can watch the gameplay.
Okay, no, that's fair.
You know exactly what the game is before you get into it.
That's a very good
You might
point.
not be good at it. And it might have been worth like that's me in Dark Souls.
Yeah.
I know what this game is. It looks attractive to me. It looks really cool. I like the concept. I get into it. I'm not good at it. It really wasn't worth my money.
No.
But I knew what I was getting into when I knew it was going to be difficult.
That's a really good point. The ability to be able to look it up online and check reviews, see what other people think about it, and see, is that for you? You can't do that with the booster pack.
At the most, with a booster pack, you can know what cards you might find in there. And at the most, you can know I'll get 1 rare at least, and so 3 uncommons, and what like.
We're running a little bit long on time, but that's fine because I want to ask you a question here. Then, so let me toss this at you. So let's say we do that though. Let's say we say no more booster packs, and thank goodness for the children's toy industry because that is predatory.
Yeah,
period.
It will destroy some things that are probably need destroying.
Yes. But at the same time, there's an industry of collectible card games, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Woods of the Coast, Magic the Gathering, that it's just gonna steamroll. Like, how at what point? How do they go forward?
I understand that oh, sorry.
Yeah, no,
sucks to suck.
I agree with that.
You were unable to survive in a capitalist society because your monetization system was predatory and was made illegal. That sucks.
I understand what you're saying. I agree. That's not what I'm saying.
I understand.
I'm saying,
how does Magic the Gathering,
do they do?
A fun game? How can they how can they change to be better?
Like, do they
still
start
exist?
selling? Because they already sell like pre-made decks and pre-made things. Is that just they go exclusively with that?
I think you can have a halfway.
Okay.
Usually when I've bought cards in the recent couple of years, usually it's like, it's your birthday and I'll get 2 pre-made decks two of the starter decks from the newest set, and we'll play against each other. And they both came with a preset deck that I could look up and see exactly what's in it, and a booster pack. And to me, $15 or whatever it was caught, that's worth it. There's still an element of it might not be as worth it as something else, but I know for a fact that I'm going to get these cards and then still have the emotional, the psychological boost of that Skinner box of, ooh, I might get something good in this pack though.
Yeah, but
I think that's a understandable halfway point that I would be okay with them continuing doing.
So what if they start sealing booster packs with one rare that is $1 rare and it's worth $5? It's the exact same thing, but now you've also paid for the $1 rare. It's a $4 booster pack. I don't know how much booster packs are.
There's the real problem is just there's always an element of trust in the system that they're not artificially manipulating what's in their packs. Like,
right.
Sure, we all know we're going to get one rare, but that rare could be a good one or a bad one.
So it's a booster pack, and then sealed with it, facing the other direction, you can see what rare it is. You know exactly what you're purchasing is a rare that is, as far as the trade value goes, worth about $1, maybe $2, whatever. And
depending.
So let's pretend booster packs are $4. I don't know what they are now, but let's pretend they're $4. And Magic is no longer allowed to sell booster packs.
They can't sell purely random.
Yeah, purely random booster packs. So now they package around $1 rare that you can see, you know exactly what you're purchasing, and a booster pack for $5. It's the exact same thing, but now you're buying that $1 rare.
No, I think, I mean, obviously there's a lot of nuance here. And it's really a question of destroying the first-party market of Magic the Gathering itself, or destroying the second-party market where they just sell the cards individually and you just get to buy them directly from Wizards.
Right.
And the secondary market is made very minimal because of it. But the difference, I think, in the specific scenario you're presenting is with that pre-made booster or pre-made deck plus booster, I know I can play the game right off the bat.
You can play the game. Yeah, okay.
16 cards that I just got out of this is not enough to play the game. Like, it's so hard to talk about this because you could technically just play a different format or something. Like, not all formats need 60. Some play 30, Like, I don't know. There's so much to it. That's why I feel like it's important in this conversation to not look at the value afterward, but to look at the knowledge of the consumer beforehand.
Yeah.
Because value afterward is subjective, but the knowledge of what you are getting into is not. To know exactly, the next step, is like what China did. Tell me specifically what could be in here and specific card rarity of what you are packing in in the boosters. So I know for a fact that's not perfect, but it's at least the next step that I think would be good.
I think maybe listing with our pre-estimates, like having printed on the back of the booster pack with our pre-estimated values, we have, said we have figured out that the average value of each pack is $1.50.
They can't pre-estimate the values though. Like
they 100% do.
They can, but I feel as though the secondary market is not is much more volatile than that.
Oh, it really is. But my point being that they can give an estimate and print it on the back of the pack because 100% of the time, the average value will be less than you are paying for it.
Yes.
And I think even something like that, just saying, just an FYI, you guys, you are not getting your money's worth. I think that would be a step in the right direction because I am uncomfortable with the idea of saying ban booster packs altogether. Ban blind packs of toys. I do want to make that clear. Yes. But banning booster packs altogether.
The problem with that is though, it's just you don't care about the blind toys. You don't like them. You like Magic though.
No, my point for my difference between the two is one is a game, and buying the booster pack can be part of the game, and you can play the game with that in some ways with the booster pack itself. You can say you're limited to booster packs. You can do the booster pack itself can be part of the game.
Sure.
Opening that blind pack toy is number one, it's not a game at all.
Well, then how do these YouTube channels that just sit there and have blind bag openings survive? People love watching that happen.
That it's purely the thrill of it.
Right.
It is not a game.
So when you're, what you're saying is that the thrill here is part of the game, but the thrill here is worthless.
No, I'm not saying the thrill is part of the game. I'm saying you can use booster packs as part of an actual literal game.
Sure.
It can be
and
a
your
booster
daughter
draft.
could use one of those little toys she got in a game she makes up herself. It's a toy.
But it's not but it's a game she made up herself, not the official game.
Or not even for a game. It's just for play. That's what toys are. It's for play, and that's valuable to a kid.
Wizards of the Coast can come out with their, this is how you do a booster draft. You guys can do your own booster draft. You can find that on the Wizards of the Coast website right now. This is how you play the booster draft game.
And Hasbro could say, here's a fun Transformer, and show kids playing with it and just demonstrating this is how you can play with it. It's the same exact
thing. But not rules to the game, not actual part of the game.
Doesn't need rules. It's an object that gets assigned value by the player. A toy being played with can be just as valuable to your daughter as a booster pack of cards can be valuable to you. It's just what you've used them for. And if you show a kid in a commercial playing with a toy, then you've demonstrated the possible value of that to the child. Just like when you put out rules for a game, you've demonstrated the value of those cards to the potential player, the person who buys that pack.
I think it's the difference between saying that a loot shooter, it is a game, and you are 100% for a fact playing a game, and what's in this game is going to be randomized.
Sure.
You might grab something that is what you want, not what you want,
yeah,
but
fair.
You are playing a game. You are playing a game.
Yeah.
And I think that's what booster packs are when you play like a booster draft or when you do booster battles.
There's something quote unquote objective about the outcome here.
You are objectively going to play a game.
I can understand that reasoning.
Yeah. And so I think that's what distinguishes the two there.
Sure.
So, but I think a good first step, and I am at a point where I'm not sure, but I honestly think a good first step would be, this is our estimated value of each pack, and slapping that right on each booster
I'd
pack.
like to see that, and like the probability of individual cards.
Yeah.
Not just
the
not just
trouble with that is
there's
like 150 cards in each pack, and so you're gonna print that on the booster pack.
Put it on the internet. Put it at the game.
Oh,
put
okay. Put it somewhere where it's available.
Put it on display at any retailer next to the shelf.
Some booster packs these days come in plastic with cardboard backing, and you can just put it on the cardboard backing. Yeah,
just somewhere that's
that.
Reasonable display that it would be reasonable to expect somebody to have seen it.
I'm for that. I am,
because I am not complete. I like the thrill of the Skinner box mechanic. I get it. It's a problem sometimes, but I get it.
Yeah.
So I understand. Let's not I'm more, I guess, talking more theoretically. Let's ban this because it's might not be the best thing to do. Let's ban it toward children.
Yeah.
Make them rated, mature.
Yeah. I think that's fine.
Put it 18 and over have to purchase these.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Well, guys, let us know what you think about legislating the booster box style or booster packs. The loot box style or the booster pack style of physical objects. Let us know what you think of our ideas. Help me out, guys. I don't know. I'm struggling with this.
Help him realize why I'm right.
We want to say a big thank you to Granger for the use of our theme song, All My Friends Have Wi-Fi, and so do some of my neighbors, off of the album Dear Sam. Granger, you guys are awesome. Hey, go check out their music, guys. They make good music.
Also, check out our YouTube channel. We are currently playing what's the
Plague
game?
Tale Innocence.
A Plague Tale: Innocence, and we're just about done playing it. I'm not sure what we're gonna play next, but that has started coming. Oh,
I know what we're playing.
You know what we're playing next?
We're playing TikTok the game because it's on the Switch. Not TikTok like that. No,
okay.
Not that
it's
TikTok.
like, no, thank you.
No, it's the one that, remember when we played at PAX and it was 2-screen puzzle game?
Okay, sure.
We talked about it. It's a $6 game and it's supposed to be relatively short.
Apparently we got stuff.
And yeah.
Anyway, on our channel right now, though, is our playthrough of A Plague Tale. It just started a couple days ago, as well as Dez's playthrough of Bloodborne, The Old Hunters. And then after that, he's got House of Da Vinci.
House of Da Vinci, yeah.
Kina Bridge of Spirits is coming out in a couple months. I'm going to be playing that. So we got a lot of stuff going on.
After House of Da Vinci, it's going to be the Final Fantasy Intergrade.
Yuffie.
Yeah. So.
Yep. All right. Well, we got a lot of stuff on our YouTube channel. Go check it out. Going to PAX soon. There's going to be a lot of stuff in there.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for PAX.
I'm very excited. Anyway, we will see you guys next time.
All right. Always remember that save games, save lives.
Bye.
Voices all